Well, good morning. This is me, Mom. In July of 2019, we were in our new home, and by Christmas of that year, I had everything in place. I had my little nest built, and I was ready for visitors. And in the earlier part of 2019, while I was still in Tequila, my grandson Andrew came to see me. And while he was there, I had written an article that I had intended to put on my Facebook link for answers to questions, because I never felt like that I had done what I needed to do to sell the book. It's been hard for me to publicize the thing myself. I've sold about 300 on my own, but still I felt like there was more that could be done. And I had been told that I needed to put something, make a blog on my answers to questions page, and so I really didn't know what to do, so I hadn't done it. So I had a little bit of time to think, and I wrote this article, and I wanted to ask Andrew, because ever since he was 12 to 15, he's been saying, Mima, you need to be on the internet. Well, at the time I hardly knew what the internet was, and then over the years he'd say something about it again, but I had no desire to be on the internet. But I did feel like I needed to do something else about my book. So I'd written an article, and I said, well, so what do you think? And he says, well, it's good, but that's not what I told you to do. I said, Andrew, you've been telling me for 20 years that I needed to be on the internet. He said, but I didn't tell you to be on Facebook. You need to be on YouTube. I said, well, I'm not going to be on no YouTube. And he said, why not? And I said, well, number one, I don't like the way I look in a photograph, and I'm certainly not going to get out there in front of whoever might look and look as bad as I do in a photograph. He says, well, it's not what you look like, it's what you got to say. And I really felt good that he thought that his Mima had said something that was worth repeating, but that was about all I cared about. So I told him, I said, well, who wants to hear what an 86-year-old Mima's got to say? And he says, well, a lot of people don't have a Mima. And I thought, well, that's true. And so we argued back and two about it. He said, if you put it on Facebook, it'll be gone with just in short order. But if you put it on YouTube, it will be there for indefinitely. And so he kept arguing his case, which he's a very good arguer. I very rarely win. But anyway, so he had stated his case after about an hour or so, and I'd stated mine. I wasn't going to do it. And so his parting shot when he went out the door was, he says, well, would you do it if God asked you to? And I thought, yeah, if God asked me to, I'd do it. Because I really didn't think God was going to ask me to do it, because that would have been almost like him saying, I want you to fly to the moon. And I certainly wasn't prepared to fly to the moon. Well, let me tell you, God speaks to us through His Word. He speaks to us through pastors and teachers and in our mind and through circumstances. And seemingly within the next week or two, everything that I picked up, it was saying that I needed to do inspirations from Mima. So I had no idea how I was going to accomplish this, because I didn't even know what YouTube was, and I didn't know how I would do it. But I said, well, Lord, if this is what you want me to do, I said, I'm going to have some help. I said, there's just no way I can do this by myself. And Andrew had made it pretty plain that he would help me what he could, but he wasn't going to be the one that was going to help me do much. And after I got started with the project, when I asked him something, he said, well, Google it. So don't tell me you can't teach an old dog new tricks, because I learned how to Google a lot of stuff. And I didn't, but the only problem is I didn't speak Googleese. But they would have words on there and say things that I didn't know what they were talking about. But anyway, I had a friend, Richard Black, and I called him, and he said, well, Betty, I'll help you with it. Well, he had a Spirit of Life broadcast that he'd been doing for years, and I had actually been on one of his programs to get my book publicized. But anyway, he said he would help me, and I thought, oh, well, that's good. And then in the meantime, the Lord had told me, even though Andrew and I had talked about this earlier part of probably, it was before we ever moved in July, so it was the early part of 2019. And it was like the Lord said, you don't have to worry about it, just be thinking about it, because I was going to have to move and the holidays were coming up. So I thought about it, but I didn't do anything about it until after the holidays. And so Richard had told me what kind of camcorder that I needed to get. He told me what kind of, I was going to have to buy a new computer. He told me what kind of computer to get, and he told me, I didn't even know they made editing programs, but he told me what kind of editing program to get. So I had all of that. And one day during the holidays, I called this acquaintance of mine that I had met because she was a real sweet, outgoing girl, and her name was Wanda. And so I called Wanda, and as we were talking, she said, what are you up to? And I said, well, I'm going to start doing these videos. And as I talked to her, she said, I'll help you. I was so excited, I almost had a hallelujah fit on her right there. And so she has been there to help me, and Richard was there to help me, so I decided, okay, I'd go ahead with it. So I got my camcorder. That was the first thing I got. It came in with no manual. So I thought, well, I got to know, so I downloaded the manual. Now, I couldn't go from my contents page and go to the chapter that I wanted to read without going through. I didn't know how to do it. So it was doing this with the manual. I worked with it for a week or 10 days, and Andrew came in and he said, you don't have to read the whole thing, just learn how to work it. So I said, well, good. So I did that. So I got everything set up. I got myself familiarized with all the parts of my camcorder, and I had to charge the battery. Well, anybody can charge a battery, right? So I think I can do that. So I go plug the thing in the wall, and then when I go to plug it in the camera, I cannot find the hole nowhere. Nowhere can I find the hole to plug it in. I got the diagram for the camcorder. I got my camcorder. I got it set up just like that. It says plug it in here. There ain't no place to plug the thing in. So I fiddled with it for an hour or more, and I happened to see my daughter outside who can do anything. So I go out and I said, Lisa, could you please see if you can find out where to put this little plug into the hole? I gave it to her. She picked up a little rubber gasket, plugged it right in. She did it as fast as I'm telling you, and I had been struggling for hours. So I left there muttering to myself. I said, Lord, you're asking me to move a mountain, and I can't even turn over a grain of sand. And that was the beginning of the beginning of my troubles. So then I got the computer. And when I went to get what Richard told me to get, of course they didn't have that they didn't have that model. And so I told the girl what I was going to do with it, that I was going to make YouTube videos. And so I bought the laptop and I brought it home. And of course it was Windows 10, and I had a Windows 7 that had been updated to a 10, and they were nothing like the same. I couldn't get nothing on that to work. Well, that's when Andrew come forth for me. He came in and got me situated and got things downloaded from one into the other, and he set up my new typing program, and so that was a good thing. So then I had to learn it. Well, it wasn't easy. But I got it, and then everything was going pretty good, and I realized that I didn't have any protection on my computer. So I had Norton, and I thought, well, all I got to do is get in touch with Norton and they can fix it for me. I can handle that. So I go on the computer to find the website. I did not know at that time that most of the things that when you pull it up, it's an ad for something else. It's not really who you thought you were going to get. So I contacted them, and just the long story short, I got scammed. Had to take it back to where I bought the computer and get it cleaned up. And I came back home. Doggone it, if they didn't stop my camera again, I got scammed twice. So that was really frustrating. But anyway, I worked with that for a while and got everything where I could go. And so then I got my editing program. And Wanda came, and we were going to make this video. We had lights that we had bought to set up, and we tried everywhere in this house that you could imagine that we could set up where I could make these videos. And everywhere with all my light that I had, we couldn't find a place that didn't reflect my glasses, and it was just really annoying to get the light right. So we finally ended up in my laundry room. So what you're looking at is my laundry room, but my motto is whatever works. And then we came to the editing program. Well, Richard was going to help me with that. Well, the only problem was his computer was not like my computer. His editing program was the same as mine, but he had a different edition than mine. And so when I ran into a problem, I would call Richard, and he would try to tell me. And what he told me, he would tell me, look on the right side of your computer and you're going to find this. Well, I looked at the right side of the computer and it didn't have that. So he would tell me what to do, and it was almost an impossibility for me to do it because we had two different things. And one thing that was so bothersome to me was, since I didn't know the program, I didn't know how to use it, and he was not here to show me, I would have a page that would come up on my computer. And I couldn't get off of that page. I mean, I clicked on every icon. I clicked on everything that I could possibly think of. And that same picture was there, and I couldn't do nothing. It was locked. I couldn't get off of it. Oh my gosh, so that was real troubling. So I finally learned how to do that. And then the next thing that happened was when I started, Wanda and I made our videos, but I had to edit it. And there's an editing thing where you can cut off some of the film. Well, I would cut it off, and then the doggone film that I cut off would disappear. I wouldn't know where it was or how to get it back. So, oh my gosh, and call Richard, and there was times that we would, thank God he had patience with me. He had more patience with me than I had with me. And I would get so frustrated. There's times that I had to say, Richard, I just can't handle anymore, and I have to hang up and go and think about something else, or maybe go the next day, but before I could do it. So anyway, I was, let me see where I am on this thing. Oh, I wanted to tell you. So what you see is my introduction page and my music that comes on, and then how it fades off from one to another. And me, with God's help and Richard's help and Andrew's help and Wanda's help, I have what you see before you today on Inspirations from Mima. So I wanted to thank Andrew Headley and Richard Black and Wanda Coughlin and Dorothy Donaldson. Dorothy Donaldson prayed for me every week through all of this. And if she hadn't prayed for me for patience and to help me with it, and editing what I read off to her, because I knew what I wanted to say, but sometimes it doesn't come across, and so you need somebody. And I thank God for Dorothy. And Wanda, I can't tell you what Wanda has meant to me. She's shown up on time and been just as dependable if it was a regular job. And she's worked with me to help me identify my problems and to solve them. And she has been patient with me, and she has encouraged me in more ways than I can possibly tell you. And she's become a dear friend of mine. So thank you for all of you for listening to Inspirations from Mima. Thanks. So listen, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you.